Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of my Minecraft Let's Play. And today I actually have a video topic other than just like channel updates. Um, Hopefully I uploaded the last video. We'll see. Um, I am recording this pretty much right after the last one. But hopefully I got around to uploading that video. But anyway, so in today's episode, I would like to talk about what I feel like the single worst part of NASCAR is right now. Now, if you were to ask any old NASCAR fan, anyone, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, at the track, anybody, if you were to ask them, what is the worst part of NASCAR? What do you think like the single like biggest issue the sport has right now is? What would it be? They would give you a lot of different answers. I mean, people would say anything from like the stages to the points format to the drivers themselves being boring to the cars to the aero package, the engine package, the schedule not being interesting. Um, they'd give you a lot of different answers. And so, and while my opinion, obviously, it's not the end all be all. It's not like my opinion is fact, and if you don't agree with me, you just are stupid. I'm not going to be an average Twitter user about this. You can have a different opinion than me. I don't care. But in my opinion, um, I think that the biggest problem that NASCAR faces right now, in terms of like the racing product, is stage racing. Now I know that a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with me on this, especially because, and this is something that's amazed me, but like ever since stage racing, I mean, like stage racing, the opinion of it when it first, oh, my voice just died again. Come on, man. Ah. Anyway, the opinion of stage racing when it first started was, hey, this is really cool, and a lot of people liked it. I didn't really care for it back then, but I didn't hate it as much as I do now. Um, but no one, oh, but the majority opinion was it was liked. There were a couple issues people noticed at the plate tracks and at the road courses. But for the most part, people liked stage racing. But as time has gone on, people are starting to not like it as much. And now I'd say that the opinion of it is just more indifference. Um, and so I guess I'll make my argument now of why I think stage racing is the biggest problem that NASCAR faces. So, for me at least, the main reason why I watch NASCAR, aside from like other motorsports, like if you think about NASCAR's main draw against like IndyCar, Formula One, things like that, and one of the reasons why I feel like NASCAR at least used to be much better than those motorsports in terms of entertainment and why I liked it is NASCAR was a lot more unpredictable. The cars were a lot more evenly matched, you could say. There were a lot more competitive drivers every week, especially compared to Formula One. Um, but NASCAR really was just a lot more unpredictable. The caution periods provided more intrigue because, like, in F1 and IndyCar, they don't really like stop the field and make sure everybody can get up there. You can pit at any time. I don't really know if the pits are closed. I don't think they are. And it messes with the strategy a lot. NASCAR has specific designated like pit road times where you can and can't pit under yellow and things like that. And I think that makes it really interesting. But it's also got a lot of other stuff going on with it. And I felt like the unpredictability of NASCAR was really cool. And I feel like stage racing has taken a lot away from the unpredictability. And let me put it this way. So with stage racing, I mean, when we'll take one of the more optimistic stage racing races. A lot of races they don't have to pit under green under in the stage. In fact, a lot of races now most races they don't even pit under green at all. In quite a lot of races nowadays, which in my opinion is a crime. But they don't really do many green flag pit stops anymore. And in my opinion, green flag pit stops were always like some of the more interesting stuff that would happen during a NASCAR race, and they could turn the most boring NASCAR race of the season into a very interesting one. I mean, all we needed was like one caution in the middle of the pit cycle, and all of a sudden, everything's in chaos. That's all we needed, was just one caution in the middle of the pit cycle, and everyone's gone insane. Like, think back to that Las Vegas race we had in 2020, where Kurt Busch and Matt DiBenedetto and a couple other people, they stayed on the racetrack and caught a lucky caution, and Kurt ended up winning the race because of that. We just don't have that nowadays, because the more the drivers have to pit under green, the greater a chance there is that a caution will come out during that green flag pit stop cycle. Like, if we think of Harvick's 9 wins last year, you couldn't tell me at least one of those wouldn't have been messed up by a caution in the pit cycle. On top of that, it also has an opportunity for someone to speed on the pit road under green and lose some laps because of it. And on top of that, it provides more wear and tear on equipment, more of a chance for a tire failure. When they're pitting halfway through the stage, these guys don't really have to push their equipment very hard to the end. And on top of that, there was always an incentive to race hard, the whole race. With stage racing, there's a guaranteed caution to come down pit road and work on your car. It didn't used to be that way. And on top of that, fuel mileage races are all but extinct now. I'm not even kidding when I say this. The second Pocono race this year was the first race to be decided by fuel mileage since 2017 Coke 600 with Austin Dillon. We went the entirety of 2018, 2019, and 2020 without a fuel mileage race. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. Now, I'm not saying every year has to be 2011. Not every year has to be 2011. It doesn't. But, is it really too much to ask for like one fuel mileage finish per year? Really, is that much to ask for? I don't think it is. And once again, fuel mileage and strategy can make some of the most boring races interesting. Think of the races where we have like a couple of guys on one strategy and some guys on the other. Because everybody pits at the end of these stages for the most part. Obviously Cliff Daniels doesn't understand that because he left Larson out there at the end of the stage at Vegas. But for the most part, everybody just pits under the stage caution anyway, so there really isn't much of an opportunity to get off on strategy. And I absolutely love those races when that happens, especially because the stage racing just kind of bunches the field back together, and you don't really have the opportunity for the field to kind of get spread out into different strategies. It doesn't happen anymore. And maybe I'm part of maybe I'm a minority of the fan group where maybe most people don't care for fuel mileage. Maybe most people don't actually like the kind of strategy racing that I do. Maybe they don't, but I don't think that's the case. And especially with the road courses and the super speedways, the opinion is really starting to turn against stage racing in those races. And obviously I would agree that stage racing is terrible in those races, although I think it's terrible everywhere. I personally believe it should go for everyone. Every track should basically, we should get rid of stage racing everywhere. And the opinion's starting to turn against it. And now I'm not specifically talking about the points, and I'll get into that in a second. I'm more in this video talking about the cautions. I don't like that. You can call me a racing purist. You can call me a boomer. Whatever you want to call me. I bet now there's going to be 8,000 comments, or not 8,000, but pretty much everybody's going to comment boomer under this video or something like that. But I personally prefer the races to be as non-artificial as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good gimmick, but that's the thing. I love a good gimmick. Green, white, checkered restarts, that's a good gimmick. I don't know what that sound was. I'm like a mine cart. I like a good gimmick. I don't like a bad gimmick. In stage racing, it's definitely now a bad gimmick. I don't like it. Especially the cautions. They get rid of all the strategy, and it really cuts down the amount of basically the possibility for error for the drivers up front, and it really hurts the ability for drivers in the back to make up time. And now I'm going to talk more about maybe a little bit more controversial part of it, the points. I know a lot of people probably like the fact that points are awarded during the stage. They feel like it awards the best driver all race for running up front. But I would like to make some arguments against it. First off, stage racing actually doesn't do that a lot of the time. For the most part, you can have somebody stay out and get a stage win. And you might say that, yeah, sure, that's strategy, but I don't care. I'd rather see drivers going for the win of the race, not the stage. That's stupid. I don't like seeing drivers sacrifice a shot at a win to get a stage. I don't like that. And once again, call me a racing purist or a boomer, but I don't like it when. Let's see, check my my coordinates here. I got to go down a long way. It's finally time to, I think, start adventuring into the newer caves. But I prefer for the points to be awarded at the end of the race. A good example of why it should be the case is William Byron Sonoma 2019. William Byron won stages 1 and 2. And they were doing that dumb thing where they pit, at the end of the stages of the road courses. He won stages 1 and 2, but finished 19th in the race. Yet he still got the most points. You heard that right. The driver who finished 19th got the most points. Now, back in the day, the winner might not have always been the one to get the most points because you had, gold. But you had things like bonus points that would go to certain drivers. And, I don't know why, but I just thought I heard a creeper there. But you'd have bonus points. That was a thing that would be given away. And, me personally, I do like bonus points. I think they were a good addition. What is this mess? Don't tell me they ruined caves in this more recent version of the game. I'd be very disappointed if that was the case. I hear lava. Let me go over there. Anyway, but so I prefer for the points to be awarded at the end of the race. Call me a boomer, whatever you want. I don't care. I like points awarded at the end of the stage, or at the end of the race, more than at the end of a stage. But a big factor in that as well is it really messes with the points grid. And this is something I'm going to talk about more when I talk about the chase or the playoffs or whatever they're calling this format now. I'm going to talk about this more. But for now, all I'll mention on it is this. Okay, this is a big ravine. I personally, I don't like playoff points, and them being awarded at the end of the stage, I don't like that either. And I really wish that they wouldn't award points during the race. I mean, aside for, like, bonus points. I don't like points awarded during the race. Racing, and this also goes against the argument of, the points awarded during the race awards the best driver all race. The problem with that is, I don't care. I don't really care to reward that because racing is all about being there at the end. And sure, you can get absolutely screwed over by, another driver, a bad call by NASCAR. Although that's something that I don't like those either. But you can get screwed over because of a bad caution or like a tire failure or something. But that's racing. That's racing. That's how it's meant to be. Racing is always supposed to be a war of attrition. And that's not what stage racing provides. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm one of the only people in the world that likes wars of attrition. I like the races to be really long and really grueling and with tons of strategy and things like that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one. but I just prefer to have races where the racing is more strategic and things like that. And okay, I need to not put it that close to the lava. But you know, if other people, if you guys, you know, maybe you guys might have a different opinion on stages than me. And if you do, that's perfectly okay. I'm not going to pull a Twitter, I'm not going to be an average Twitter user and say, "Oh, your opinion's different than mine, you know, you're stupid." But at the same time, it's like me personally, I don't like that. I really wish it was more strategy based. And honestly, and this goes for everybody. You know, if you like stage racing, I'm not saying that you don't know what NASCAR is and that your opinion is wrong and you don't know what you don't know. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people to say that, but at the same time, a lot of NASCAR fans, it's crazy to say this, but a lot of NASCAR fans really didn't see all that many races with, you know, like no stages. They don't. They don't. They don't see that many races without stages. I mean, like, and I'm not going to name a whole lot of, like, I'm not going to name specific people, but I know quite a lot of people, a lot of my friends who are diehard NASCAR fans, you know, on NASCAR Twitter, giving their opinions about the races every day and things like that. A lot of those people never really got to see much of the no stage racing era. And I mean, they didn't get to see like a points-based championship format. There's a lot of things they didn't get to see. They didn't get to see 950 horsepower. You know, they didn't get to see a lot of this stuff. And you know, you have a lot of people nowadays. Anytime someone talks about stage racing bad, they get firestormed on Twitter by these people who are like, "Oh, I like stage racing, and your opinion is wrong, and stage racing is great," and yada yada yada. And it's like, I mean, if you like stage racing, good. I mean, like, at least somebody does. But you can't tell me that I'm wrong for not liking it. That's not how things work. Oh, my crafting table's on fire. But yeah, you can't tell me that my opinion is wrong for not liking stage racing. You can't do it. That's not how it works. And so if you like it, you know, enjoy it all you want. But I really think NASCAR is much better off without it. And on the topic of the points, you know, like on top of that, the playoff points especially really just make the playoffs a lot more uninteresting. Like I said, I like the unpredictability of NASCAR. And if you're going to make a gimmicked mess of a format that doesn't reward a true champion, I'm not going to sit here and say let's Mickey champion crap because it's really getting old at this point. But you know, if you're going to make a format that doesn't reward like the best driver all season with the title, then the least that you could do is like, I don't know, make it actually interesting. I mean, seriously, do you guys remember the days of the old format from like 14 to 16 where there was like no extra points at all? There was like, I think you got 3 points for a win in the regular season, but then after the first round, no bonus points whatsoever. I remember that era. I do. I remember that era, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Is there like a backpack that I can craft? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll just make like a chest for now, and then I'll come back for it. I'll like screenshot the coordinates or whatever, like a true Minecraft sweat. I don't need all that. Let me see. Yeah, I don't need a lot of this crap. Let me see. Do I have iron? Yes, I do. But yeah, I don't. You know, I prefer the playoffs without, you know, without the playoff points. But you know, that's just me. And I'll talk about that more in a video dedicated specifically to the playoffs. Because that's probably going to be my next video. Because I mean, like, look, if I'm talking about NASCAR on YouTube, I have to talk about how playoff bad. I have to parrot the same thing, playoff bad, that everybody else does. And you know, I'm probably just going to be repeating the same stuff that everybody else talks about, but I'll talk about it. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. You know, I really just I don't like the stage racing, and if you guys agree with me on that, make sure to let me know in the comments so I know I'm not crazy for thinking that. Um, but anyway, so that's going to do it for this Minecraft video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. In the next one, I'm going to try to talk about the playoffs. Hopefully, I don't get flamed for what I say about it. Um, you know, I doubt NASCAR Twitter's ever going to get a hold of my videos. You know, for their sake, I hope they don't, because you know, if they find my channel, they're going to think it's, you know, real interesting, if you know what I mean. Anyway, but yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.